All right.
Sure.
So, yeah, first question is just why you chose to trust a random stranger to save your marriage.
Uh, Man, because I was pretty desperate. Kind of what had happened with us. We've been married 23 years. We've got 5 children, um, both Christians. I mean, devout Christians. We're involved in church, like lots of stuff, lots of stuff. And what has been the stressor in our relationship is our business. And
Mm,
so I'm my own boss too. So when I talk to other entrepreneurs and stuff, I'm super interested too, because a lot of business is business. There's a lot of similarities between one thing to the other. But I I've had East Carolina Mechanical for almost 15 years, 14 years and some change.
yeah.
And for the most part, it's just been me. She hasn't been involved, but our children have been little as well. And so as our children have gotten older, two of them now are graduated from high school, and one of them works in the business with us. And so, I mean, it's a large business. I got 150 employees. Um, and so she got more and more involved. And as she got more and more involved, like the whole dynamic of our relationship changed. And if I'm honest, Josh, I didn't do a good job with it. Like, um, I feel like I'm classic Mr. Nice Guy type syndrome stuff. Like, and I just didn't. And as she got more involved in the business and I got more uncomfortable
Yeah.
with, I didn't set any boundaries. Hell, I didn't even thought about a boundary, man. I didn't until I started talking to you guys, I don't even know what a boundary
Right.
is.
That's a
Right.
thing.
And yeah, yeah. And so I was just on this downhill spiral, like covert contracts, chasing my tail, like,
Uh,
working my butt off, getting nothing, like literally getting nothing,
right.
and getting more and more space. And then it kind of culminated like the week before Christmas, of I came home. She was, again, like emotional response. She has a little bit of a difficult relationship with her parents. And so
Okay.
we were getting ready to load up. Her parents live about 3 hours from here. So we were going to go visit her parents for Christmas. She was stressed about that. I came home and got into an argument with my 18-year-old son, and like came inside, and that just like was like gas on the fire. She
Uh,
was stressed out. It just, I mean, it blew up. And so, fight culminated and so a lot of the things you say, like I had, and I mean, this wasn't the first fight we had. It had been getting progressively worse, 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 worse. And so I kind of came around the corner at her, like I wasn't going to hit her or anything. That never crossed my mind, but I was just tired of being yelled at. And so
sure.
I I walked around. I was like, I'm tired of being yelled at. And so I was kind of standing my ground, I guess, trying to draw a boundary, and I didn't recognize that's what it was. And so it kind of culminated in like, I want you to leave, and I don't want to be married anymore. And so
Mm.
I'm like, I mean, just kind of blindsided. Like, I mean, I knew we were frustrated with each other,
Did that go to
but
that level for you at the time? Was like, what is going on?
yeah, yeah, like what in the world? And then, having to tell my kids that I'm leaving, and that didn't go well. I mean, it was a terrible
Oh,
day, terrible day. And
mhm.
so, I stayed at a local hotel, on Friday. That was a Friday, so Friday night, Saturday night. And so at some point, man, she had told me that I wasn't, and this was not in this fight. This was when we had a few weeks prior to that. And she's like, "You're not normal." Like, she's like, "You're not healthy." And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't understand. I'm like, I'm just me. Like, I'm just the way that I've always been. And, and so I just had no concept. Like, it was like, she was speaking French, and I could understand the words coming out of her mouth, but I didn't understand what she was saying. Um, and so in that conversation, she said, "You are borderline emotionally abusive and manipulative, and I've almost asked you to leave." Like, and that was like 2 weeks or so before she actually, and I kind of thought she was like blowing it out of proportion. And so Well, then in the midst of sitting in a hotel room by myself, I Googled like, can you be emotionally manipulative and not realize it? Is this even a thing? Like, is this a thing?
Yeah.
And so I came across your videos online and like I started watching them. I'm like, this all makes way too much sense. Like I get what they're saying. Like this is us that we're I'm trying but man I'm not making any headway. Not making any headway. And so that was on Saturday. I signed up like I mean thank the Lord that I am blessed enough financially that like at that juncture, I was willing to pay whatever I had to pay to kind of save my life. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so that wasn't really a factor. I was like, I'll figure out how to pay for it. If and as I'm filling it out, I'm like, okay, just I got to do something. I got to do something. Um, and so like I watched, you know, man, I feel like I watched 40 of your videos that day.
Yeah.
Just trying to like, okay, like maybe I'm not normal. Maybe I don't have some healthy things about me and that I just don't even realize. And so that was on Saturday. I bought I heard you or somebody you were interviewing, man. I don't even actually remember, but talking about the Mr. Nice Guy book. And so I got that book that day on audio and started listening to it. And as I listened to it, I'm like, this is what she's talking about. Like, I
Mhm.
I am trying to manipulate and I'm not even realizing it. Like I'm not doing it for not being a mean guy manipulative, but
Right,
being a
right,
nice guy manipulative,
right,
because what I thought about that hit me so hard is like maybe the previous week, like um, she was in such a foul mood on a recurring basis, and so she would take the kids to school, and when she'd take the kids to school, I would call, and it was kind of to I would say that, hey, I was telling this kids, hey, have a great day, dad loves you, that sort of thing. And I was. But as much as anything, I was trying to see what kind of mood she was in. She was in a
right,
good mood today or bad mood today,
right.
Never really talk about how manipulative and dishonest that was
Mm.
until I started going through the documents and reading and like, man, I'm really doing those things. I'm really doing those things. And so I really came to see myself man, I was just in a bad place, like mentally, like really, lots and lots of anxiety, lots and lots of people pleasing, lots and lots of really trying to take care of everybody else before I take care of Brandon. And
Right.
man, I was just spent because we could have conversations and I'm like, I'm just tired. I don't have anything else to give. Like I can't she's mad at me and I'm frustrated and I'm like I don't have anything else to give. Like
Right.
I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Um and so now it all seems really silly if I'm honest, but then it was just like man, I'm completely spent. I have nothing else. And we weren't I mean the house wasn't yelling and screaming. We're not yellers and screamers. We would get in fights but I mean kind of all the things like sexless marriage and roommates and all that stuff kind of really started playing into the equation. And yeah, it had just gotten really bad. And I felt like what I had done is to didn't stand up to her at all in terms of like again, didn't draw any boundaries, didn't say that this is it, this is bad, I don't like this, do like this. Like I tried to as much anything like just ignore it and get over it like and hope it would get better
Yeah. Yeah.
because she's my wife's very strong-willed. I mean she always has been, but she's when we've got into those places she's kind of always been able to get out of it. And I don't know that now. I mean, maybe I was helping her get out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
So she mentioned divorce to you, right? And how long ago was that, by the way?
that was the 19th of December.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So like little bit less
Two,
than 3. 3 months ago.
Yeah, 2 months and some change.
Yeah, 2 months and some change. And where are things at now?
We're great now. Even so it's really crazy that quite literally on Valentine's Day, and this is what I told Max when I was talking to him. We her grandmother had been ill, and so her grandmother is lives in Alabama, and so she had been down there to see her grandmother, and she came back, and we didn't really have anything fancy planned for Valentine's Day. And so I'm like, hey, let's go grab a lunch. And so just a fantastic lunch, easy time together, lots of fun, nothing big. We're communicating on the business, understanding what she's saying, all those kinds of things. And then she as I'm riding back, I'm like, Lord, this is really kind of the marriage that I've always wanted. Like this isn't like back to where we were. Like this is better than before we started.
Brandon,
Um
how do you know that? Like, what are some overt signs that you could tell?
uh just her willingness and my willingness to be honest about and not instead of draw back to from conflict to try and get it out as opposed to kind of bottle it up. Like you said, um, I don't know, man. It feels one of your videos, and maybe you said it a bunch, but you got to kind of be willing to piss your wife off sometimes.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's the
yeah,
greatest skill. Say no to her.
yeah,
That saying no to her is the word that turns her on more than any other.
yeah, and to kind of draw that boundary, and then to start really taking ownership of me. Like, I was trying to lose weight before, but man, I've lost like 40, almost 45 pounds. And
Wow.
so I've been exercising and working out and kind of just saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Um, and she's and but while you're saying these things, I'm watching these videos. I'm like, that's not going to go down like that. But it does. It's like some kind of Jedi mind trick, man. Um, but even last week, so I'll tell you last week. So we had a tough week last week.
Okay.
We were both frustrated with each other a little bit over business stuff. One of the some stuff happened here at the business, and she's really hard line, like just always punch stuff in the mouth. I feel like leadership is more nuanced, and if you give people enough time and space, they'll figure it out. And so we didn't agree with each other on that, and it was tense, right? Like it was tense, but no, nothing like it was. Like I felt like we could again, like I said the other night, I says, do we need to talk about this more? And man, which sounds really simple. I get that, but back last fall in November, that was like climbing Mount Everest to me. Like
Yeah.
to just say, hey, do we need to address this? Are you listening? She's like, and her response was, I don't like some of the stuff you did. I don't think it was right, but I've told you that. And I don't know what else we can say, but okay. And so it was a good response. It wasn't like,
Hmm.
hey, anything, it, I addressed it, she addressed it back, no hard feelings. And then as we worked through the weekend, and even that, and so like to tell her that I'm angry about the situation and that I don't like the way that it's unfolded, and not just at her, like because I think she's done pretty good with the situation. I would have handled some things different, but she's done pretty well with it. Um, but to be able to express my anger for it and my honesty, she's really grabbed hold of that. Like, okay, he's not crazy. And she'd say the same thing about me. I wouldn't have handled it that way, but I see that he cares, and so we'll keep moving.
Wow.
And so
So that's amazing, Brandon. What would you say is the biggest win then up until this point, that you're like,
probably that, man. Just the ability to, because I'm gonna tell you, so in my story is kind of threefold. Like you guys have helped me a ton. The books, so the two books that I would recommend, like to anybody, I may give them to my children when they get married. As a matter of fact, is the No More Mr. Nice Guy book and the Masculine and the Feminine book.
mhm.
Those two books were huge. um, for me. But to recognize that in her, like, because she gets in her masculine in a hurry, man. She does, and so to the only way you can beat that stuff is to she's not one where you can kind of pull her out of it. Like, the guy talks about picking her up and swinging her around, and that you'll probably get punched if you do that. But to but to but to not let it bulldog you, to say, hey, it's okay, I've got this. I know you feel like you need to be in charge, but I'm still in charge, I'm still the man. And she'll normally, okay, okay, I hear you. I hear you. And so just that's what I said is kind of the Jedi mind trick, man. That's not anything major. That's not like,
Seem like it, right? It doesn't
but
seem
it
like
did. It did.
yeah.
It's crazy, Josh. It's like that's when I told you the other day that I don't feel like I've done anything just amazing, but you guys have given me tools, teach me to learn the tools, and I did go and get a little bit of anxiety medicine, which has helped. You
Mhm.
know,
Well,
but
Brandon,
yeah,
I mean, you're speaking to the idea of something that's simple but not easy, right? So it's like the idea is simple, like let's take not reacting, right? Like when your wife gets yelling or gets a tone or whatever it is, it's a simple. It's like yeah, you just don't react. But like for a lot of men, that emotional need to want to defend yourself or yell back or whatever that is, it's been ingrained in you for your whole life. So it's not
right.
easy, right? So the concepts are laid out. It's like telling someone to just be confident. It's like you're saying three words to them, just be confident. But to a guy who's super insecure, riddled with shame and anxiety and all these things, that's not an easy process,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah. I did want to point out, so you touched about a lot of things that have helped along the journey. I'll point out a couple and then maybe we can expand. The first one was the idea about being controlling or not, and how I want to separate the idea of like covert control versus overt control, because a lot of the guys, they're not overtly controlling, but they're covertly controlling, which means it's
Right.
under the surface, like the covert contracts from the No Mr. Nice Guy book. And the idea there is, you know, trying to control her through changing your emotions, changing who you are to manipulate the way she is in a
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
she senses that. And so, how did you recognize how you did that with your marriage and how you corrected that?
Oh wow, that's something that, man, that I would have never, without your program and the discussion, would never even been aware of. Like, I was so deep into this, like it was almost like I wasn't my own person anymore. I was trying to make my decisions
Mhm.
based on what I think she would say and want,
Yeah.
and without the recognition that, man, she's a girl. Like, what she says and wants could change by the hour. You know what I mean? Change by the minute. And so she didn't know what she wanted. She just wanted me to do something. And so um when I realized, it was almost just like realize how stupid it was that,
Mhm.
like, I've been with this woman, man, since I was 20 years old. And
Wow.
so that to trust her heart, and then and you said this a bunch of times when she said that she didn't want to be married. I didn't believe her. I didn't believe her for not 1 second. I was like, that's not true. We put too much effort into this to not be married. And so I trusted my gut that I didn't believe that, but and then I did start seeing the emotional responses that you guys call tests, this emotional outflow, and then to not try to go tit for tat. Like, you can't argue objection out of an emotional response, and then to just stand firm in this and say, okay, I hear you, I understand. Um, the and then speak up to say what. It's really funny. So when I first started this, I told Max I made a list of things that I wanted to tell her that I
Yes.
didn't tell her. Good, bad, some of it good. Like, man, I love you. I think you're beautiful. I love your eyes. Love sleeping with you. All those kinds of things. And then some of them a little harder, and that I just wouldn't tell because I would. It was, instead of just communicating, I was like trying to pick spots where I could say what I needed to say and not interrupt her world or whatever. And it's just so stupid, man. Nobody communicates like that. But when you get into it and you're just head over here, you just don't freaking know. And
Yeah.
so I I just started, like, when I told her everything that Max and I would talk about, and I would say, "Hey, I'm going to tell you stuff, and it's going to be weird. Like, it's going to be at awkward times." I says, "But I need to tell you when I think it, so I can get it out and you can hear it." I said, so if it sounds clunky and awkward, it's because it's clunky and awkward, but like help me work through this so I can get healthier about communicating with you. And she was like, okay, cool, Roger. And I mean, and I've gotten better at that over the last couple of months, but even now, that same thing of when I like something, I don't like something. I the covert contract stuff has really gone away. Like, man, you can't clean enough floors, do enough dishes to make your wife happy. Now, what in the heck I thought I was doing, I don't know, man. But you just can't.
Yeah, no one teaches it, right? Well, I mean, not to say no one teaches it, but a lot of people don't teach that stuff, right? And
Right.
the idea that you touched upon as well that I want to double down on, which is a phrase I've been saying a lot. I didn't create this. I don't know where I heard it. It's that your wife is a woman first, a wife second.
Yeah.
And what that speaks to, which you probably already know when I say that, is that women have this inherent biological response to how men treat them and how they feel. And so you have to recognize that what a lot of guys, when she's making her decision to pull away, it's like logically, it's like it doesn't make sense why she would want a divorce, but she's not using logic, is she? Right?
Mm,
She's responding to all of the emotional cues that you've given her over the years, right? And so, yeah, the cover contracts when you're not being yourself, it all relates back to her safety from your strength, right?
yeah.
And not physical strength, which is important, but emotional strength. And when you are constantly changing your opinion just to make her happy, even though you think you're keeping the peace, she's like, I'm not with a man right now. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, and that's what I found out last week when we weren't agreeing with how something was going down at work,
Yeah.
is the more that I spoke about it, the more I talked. And I don't think she, what I hear is not that I have to have it figured out,
No.
but that I'm working. Like my brain hasn't given up on it, that I'm not being passive and I'm not letting it walk away. And I mean, even in that, for a guy who's probably is a little passive and those kinds of things, she challenges me, and it makes my business better because I'm like, you're right. I don't need to let that lie. I've got to come in here and push back on that. And she's not running the business, but she's involved, and the same thing back with her. When I give the same thing back to her when I push back a little bit on some things. It's been it's been good. It's not easy, but man, the there's no fights like there was when I wasn't being honest, and the covert contracts and that stuff. That stuff's not there. It is. It's weird the way that she can sense you if you're really being you. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't know how she can do that, but she does. It's
It's just,
fact.
yeah, we talk about this, right? Women have this intuitive sense of just, I think because one of their in the feminine, their core desire is love and connection. And so since you are the source of a lot of that love and connection besides their relationship with themselves and God, right? Since you're the source of that, especially in the masculine paradigm where like you're meeting a lot of her needs, you can talk about this from a spiritual perspective or just from evolutionary, but she just knows intuitively. It's like not even a logical process. It's through thousands of years of evolution or just inherent from God puts it in a woman, who knows, right? But like they can sense when you're not being this guy who creates connection in them, right?
Mhm.
And they will call that out through just feeling negative emotions, whether it's frustration, tests, a lack of attraction. All of these things are signs that you are not being the man that can connect with her and lead her and make her feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the thing that, that I would tell guys is that my wife's tough, man. She's not easy. I would say jokingly, and even like now, but I appreciate it more after going through so much of this class and this process is that the best thing about my wife is I always know where I stand, and the worst thing about my wife is I always know where I stand. You know, but her being
You
vocal,
can trust and respect her.
yeah, yeah, but her being vocal like that. What did she do the other day? I can't remember. I told Max something, and I was like, and she says it was really clear what she wanted. Um, and he was like, man, you're fortunate in that she'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she does. She does a good job of telling me what she likes and what she does. It's more about me having the guts to ask and be ready to receive whatever she says, be it good or bad.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's do one more. What is one more powerful lesson you learned within the program to get you to where you're at now that you haven't mentioned yet?
Oh wow, that I haven't mentioned. That I haven't mentioned. I feel like I've that the thing that I would use to encourage anybody is to trust what the lessons that you're being taught, like that these are the things. To kind of to don't give up hope, like when um the first thing that really got the ball turning for us was when we were separated. One of the children was sick. Both the children were sick. My wife has asthma, and I'm like, "You're not going in there to take care of them while you're sick." I was like, "We can't get you sick." She had just got well, and that very much being protective. The protective thing is just really huge. And when she gets frustrated with me now, it's because I'm not being protective. And it's not, we I would say a lot of guys in my situation, myself included, I was a great provider. I am a great provider. She doesn't want for anything. Our family's great. We live a very good life. I do struggle to protect. Like nobody's going to come in my house and hurt them. They know that, but they also know the chances of that happening are really slim.
Right.
But that somebody would kind of take advantage of them or not use them or hurt them emotionally. Um, I've got to get better at that. And I have. I've done that better with my children and with her. And it's noticeable the most in my children because I feel like they just immediately kind of forgave some things that I had been doing and immediately were like, oh man, like dad's really here. He's really present. He's really taking care of us. And the more she sees that, the better she feels about even how I'm doing it for her. So that's probably something that gets really lost is there's a difference between providing and protecting. Huge difference. That I don't have mastered. I'm still working on it, but I know that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, the protection, it all goes back to the making her feel safe, right? If you look at all of your behaviors that cause her grief, if you can connect it to her lack of feeling safe and then just realize doing the opposite of that. I mean, I'm oversimplifying the whole process, but that's essentially what it is. Because if you
It is.
because like you don't lead her, she has to lead herself, and that's a risk. Right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you hold on to resentment, which is forgiveness is another component in the program we talk about a lot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you hold on to
Sure.
resentment, I mean, that's not safe for her to feel resentment towards you and you feel resentment towards her. I mean, everything goes back to the sense of emotional safety and realizing that as strong as that a lot of women, a lot of wives portray themselves to be and being stubborn and independent, and she has that capability, she is a woman, right? She
Yeah.
wants to be protected. It feels good in her body when she's like, I can relax around my man. Like every woman wants that, right? And so as much as
Mm-hmm.
it portrays on the outside sometimes like she has this strength or she's independent, she wants you to protect her, like you said. And when you can realize that and pass her tests and lead and everything, that's when you start to shift her emotions like you did, right? Brandon, I want to ask you one final question, which is one of my favorite questions to ask guys on
Okay.
these calls, which is if you can go back, let's say a year in time and talk to yourself and get in that time machine and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you tell him at that time?
Uh, Man, to use your freaking mouth like in a good way to that would actually not to lead. Probably that actually would be better to to step up, use your mouth, lead. Because I really let her get way in her masculine,
Uh,
and it just kind of got out of hand. Didn't realize that's what it was. Didn't know there was words, but that's what she was where she was at, and our polarity was completely flipped upside down. My children, the whole world, my children sensed it. Everything, like the world was just flipped upside down. And actually, when I came back home and we sat down and talked, the two things she told me is that I need you to know me and I need you to lead. Um, and that's where when again when things get difficult or I lose my north, that's where I go back to. All right, these are the two things that she said she wanted. Not in an emotional response that we were just sitting there talking. And she's like,
yeah.
those are the things that I wanted. And so probably I would go back and tell myself to lead, not just show up, but to lead.
Well said. And what is one thing that you would tell him, and like, because lead is a it can mean different things to different people,
Oh,
right?
sure.
And I talk about macro and micro leadership, but a lot of
Mhm.
guys hear lead, and I think they think more in terms of micro leadership, making decisions, which is useful. It's definitely half of the equation. But on a macro level, like leading the relationship, how would you say that you learned how to do that?
Oh, wow. I would tell myself, to really lean into her, to hear her, um, and not try to fix the problems as much as anything else. Not go and try to dissect and um, which I know. I mean, I knew that before I ever heard Josh Hudson the first time, but I had forgotten. I'd just gotten so far in over my head,
Yeah.
to just stop and hear her. Let her be a girl. Let her be emotional. Let her say all of those things that um, because if she's venting to me, if she's about her life and all these frustrations,
Right.
then I must be a relatively safe place, that she feels okay to talk to me about those things. And instead of giving advice on how to fix, really just listen and affirm what you can affirm and hear what you can hear and to okay. And then learn this is something I'm working on still, but okay. Of those things that you just said, is there anything of those that you really want me to get involved with to help? Do you
Mhm.
need me to help step into this relationship with this child or with my mother or her mother? Is there anything that I really need to do? And sometimes she'll be like, no, I just wanted you to listen, and then other times it's like, yeah, if you could help with this, or you offer. And sometimes I learned that too, is don't open-ended questions aren't great for the ladies. They need some more boundaries to that. Like, um, do you want me to do this or nothing? Kind of give some options so you don't make her think as much and kind of just help. And if she says nothing, just do nothing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Wow. That was amazing, Brandon. Thank you so much. Is there any questions you have for me before we wrap up?
No, sir. Don't. I'm thankful for the program. Really, I am. I feel like it was worth my money. It was worth my time. There's still more to get out of it too. I'm not done. There's still more to get out of it. I'll share it with anytime we have guys that have issues that it just makes sense to me. I mean, I have since this time I've hired a local therapist that I meet with once a week, but to be honest with you, I'm in in my 30-minute sessions with Max, the 5 times I met with him or whatever, I feel like I made more headway. I really do.
Yeah.
It's a true
That,
story.
that's cool to hear from my end that you're getting better results with that. And yeah, the one thing I usually like to say to men to wrap things up is, which you may already know, but I still like to say it, is the one the one thing that really keeps you on the right track is staying involved as much as possible. I've had it happen a few times. I'm sure it happens more than I hear. That some men, when they find success in the program, they tend to go back to complacency, right? And they're like, just kind of go back to the status quo. It's part of what the ego does. But staying involved in the community, helping other men that were in the same position as you were, 5, 6, 7, 8 months ago, and then giving them that advice that you learned, it really helps to stay top of mind for you, and it really embeds those lessons into you as a man. So
Yeah.
that's what I would also recommend, is staying involved, coming to the group calls, writing a guy's post once in a while.
Yeah, that all that stuff's been great. Like everybody's been kind, nice. The community has been cool. Yeah, there's good stuff out there because I do think guys tend to live isolated lives, and when you get them involved in this, you're like, oh, I'm not the only one that has all these problems, these issues. So
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome, Brandon. Well, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for your time.
you too, Josh. Thanks for your help, man. Appreciate you guys.
Bye.
Bye.